S.E.E channel, and we are just got shut down here at 5:35 here in Rocky Mount, Virginia, here at Dudley's Truck Stop. I want to say it's been about 6 months since I've been here last, but went in and the guy still recognized me, asked me how I was doing. He said, "You haven't been here in a while," and I said, "Yeah, it's been since springtime, late winter." So yeah, I think they got like $8 showers here. Very reasonable family restaurant. So anyhow, we're kind of moving this stuff to Monday night. I don't know if Monday night live streams are going to work with the football season coming, if I can pop it off here by 6 o'clock or move it to like Tuesday. I thought I checked all the boxes tonight. I did not. So unprofessional. There, I turned off all the notifications because that gets annoying. So, and I thought I had this turned down. I do. All right. So the other option, and the wife and I were talking about it, and should I do a Tuesday or Wednesday? Like tomorrow, I'm not going to start till about 7:30ish in the morning, which then puts me about 7 o'clock at night shutting down, and I wouldn't be able to get a live stream really popped off till around 8 o'clock. So we're just going to work with this Monday at 6, if anything, and pull it back maybe to 5:30 depending on my shutdown time. So that's what will transpire in that going forward, is because of Sunday night football and just everyone's engrossed with sports on Sundays. That is not a thing at our house. So anyhow, I just just trying to work around that kind of schedule because I understand what other people do. So yeah, what else we got going on? I knocked out 90% of my route already, so I got 2 stops left tomorrow, and I got one out here going towards Martinsville, and then I got one up in Lexington, Kentucky, and then back up to Michigan. So I want to say it has some miles, but it has half the stops I did, was it last week or the week before, when I had 15 stops, and now I only have like 7 or 8. So it all depends on how people order and stuff like that, how much volume goes on the truck. So what else? Hey, don't forget, and I'm going to mention this now, there was a couple people, because my detailing side at home has been just blowing up. Like, it's just, I'm booked out to the end of September now. And with that, a couple people subscribed to that channel, so I put it down in the description. If you can look there and click on the link, I need 8 more subscribers on that RK Auto Detailing channel, and then that unlocks my live streams over there. And that'll allow me, when I'm detailing, to be able to go live stream, maybe just kind of walk around the shop, maybe go over some projects I'm doing during the winter months and stuff like that when I'm home. Right now, out in the field, it's a little hard because I'm usually at people's houses and that, and I just want to be respectful of their personal property and area and stuff. So I just don't want to catch things like license plates and other things that may, expose them. So, what else? So yeah, if you guys can, if you're watching this after the fact, just pop over there and just hit the subscribe button and just help me. I'm at 42. I just need to get up to 50, 51, unlock that feature. It's like I said, it's all these tiers of getting through YouTube. And as a young or a channel that's still growing, we're just trying to get to a point, especially the 1,000 subscribers. 2 things happen for me there, 2 major things. I can monetize the videos, and I can get unlimited viewership in the live stream. So what else? And of course, when we hit to the 1,000 subscriber, we are going to send out a gift pail full of fundamental or basic detail stuff from Jack's Wax, and to any or whoever it is. And like I said, if it's both channels growing, now like I said, that one fell behind. I worked on that one for a while, but I'll probably get back to that over time. And I'm just curious with the way the economy's going right now and how we're looking, whether or not if my routes are going to be like this, where I'm going to be back. Well, I'm going to be back Wednesday night for sure. I got an extra stop for a pickup added on today. The boss called, so that would otherwise I would have been probably back Wednesday for sure. So yeah, so anyhow, I just expect I'll be at least a day shorter on my routes as things kind of pull back in the economy. The economy is just taking one big crap right now. Freight rates, I mean, these guys, the carriers that I'm following and listening to, they are, a lot of them are making $1.90, $2 a mile on some of these dry van and reefer runs. I don't know how they're doing it, but we're starting to see a trend where a lot of companies, carriers, are staying within the region that has the volume or the freight, and you know, that's where the capacity is kind of hovering around, where all the and that is the Midwest, the Southeast, South, like out towards Texas. You get up to the Pacific Northwest, the Dakotas, you know, going out to California, it's hard to get a good paying load back out of California. There's good paying loads going out there, but you're going to take the loss. Your loss is going to be on the way back. And usually what people will do is just take short runs, 500-700 mile book 500-700 mile loads to get them in a good area to get a better paying load. And so now they're playing the, you know, this is the game they're now playing, which they have not had to do that, you know, decades ago. But the capacity is slowed down, but it hasn't plummeted. And capacity is the amount of trucks on the road to pick up freight. So you got to also remember, when these things go out on the load boards and stuff like that, you're competing with other guys sitting idle like this at a truck stop looking at the load boards trying to find a load to get them somewhere. And it's a tight competitive, you know. That's why it's so important in this industry that you lock yourself with a contract with with a manufacturer, shipper, and you hold on to that customer and you treat them like royal gold, because it's drying up out here. Definitely for the load board market, unless you got contracted freight, is what it's called. Otherwise, you know, flatbed, step decks, RGNs are still doing well for now. I anticipate this is going to be a bad Christmas, and usually the first quarter of each year is pretty bad because inventories got ramped up for Christmas. And now that, you know, once Christmas is over, people have spent their money, there's going to be a slowdown in the retail side and of course everything else. So manufacturer kind of slows down somewhat till, you know, tax season, people get their refunds back, either get their credit cards paid up so they can go max them out again, or they just take the cash from their refunds and go, they buy whatever, home improvement projects, renovations, furniture, appliances, new cars, you know, whatever it is they use that money for. So and that usually starts ticking up, you know, around February, March, April. You start seeing a little tick up in that, but it hasn't been so much since 2020. Anyhow, but I'm staying, just paid off another loan, so that money is now getting stacked, if you want to call it a Dave Ramsey thing, but we already knew how to do it before Dave Ramsey was a thing. Is once you pay off that loan, take the payment on that loan, put it into the next payment, next tier up. So I've known that since the 80s. So, I mean, if you can't see the writing on the wall on how to pay your bills, but I guess you got to go find Dave Ramsey to figure out how to pay your debt. It's ridiculous. But we're doing great. The wife and I are very pleased. She's just, the heat right now is getting to me, detailing cars out in the heat. I got in last Thursday afternoon. I literally had 4 hours and 40 minutes left on my log. I turned around and went an hour from our yard. I went and made a pretty much a 3/4 of a trailer delivery, an hour away, unloaded the trailer, hour back. I had about half an hour left on my clock, for the whole week, and shut down. That was Thursday at noon. Jumped in my truck, went home, and I had that. If you look on my detailing page at YouTube channel, the Dirty Max. Well, it's a great couple. They usually call me a couple times a year, so I tried locking them in the spring around April and May so I could get them detailed up for the summer. Husband's just been busy with his employment, business. I think that he's in business and she's in administration somewhere in the school district. So she dropped off his truck. I ended up doing that as soon as I got out of this. I had about a 1 hour break, get home, jump on that, and I was on that 5:30, 6 o'clock on Thursday. I was up all night detailing that, getting it prepped. I mean, right down. The way he wants it detailed, I go right into the engine, everything. Interior, top to bottom, underneath, everything. Shot that out the door by noon. She was picking it up and gave me a hefty size tip. And went on my way, went down to the other property, took care of maintenance on the property there, and our camper that's on it, and then did an oil change, polished some rims, jazz like that. I still had, and that was on Saturday. Then Saturday night, stopped by the house, showered, jumped in the truck, slept in the truck Saturday night, jumped in Sunday morning in this, and made a delivery yesterday, and knocked all my West Virginia stuff out. I got one more Virginia stop, and then I'm up into Lexington, Kentucky. So yeah, that's been last week, finishing up this week. And Friday night, when I got down there and I finished the lawn, we had dinner. The wife and I got on the golf cart and rode around the complex. One of my camp neighbors that I use a shop in the auto detailing YouTube channel. You'll see me at his shop down in Three Rivers, Michigan. I stopped by to see him because I had to use the shop to do that oil change in the when I rotated the tires on that, because being an AMSOIL dealer, I do and a licensed mechanic, I do some oil changes too for people I personally know. But I polished up some rims while I rotated them, put that back together, used the shop. But he was at a friend of his, and he's asking me about doing his work truck. So I ended up Saturday morning, before I did that oil change, went and looked at his work truck, gave him a quote for the interior, and so now I've got that. I got 3 ceramic coats going in the end of Labor Day weekend. This work truck, I've got the wife with the black Duramax that got dropped off last week. She's bringing her Suburban in the week I'm off during Labor Day. That's going to be, that's a good payout. Then I got windows and siding, and then I got to finish up that 40-foot camper. So that's all the stuff I got going on at home. Plus the deck staining too. I got to get that power washed here soon, so then I can get ready to start spraying the decks with the stain. So I rolled and brushed them on last time, but the railing spindles and all that, I said I'm not doing that by hand again. So I bought a sprayer, hooked to my compressor, and I'm gonna do it that way. I just gotta mask off the whole back of the house for the most part for the overspray. Oh, what else? Yeah, that's it. Other than you know, and we had another accident last week in the trucking industry, and this one was down in Florida, down by on the turnpike in Miami. Undocumented, illegal, that was issued a CDL. So that is wrong on all levels. Now, if that was me, I'd be in prison. But, you know, it's funny how it's good for them, but not for, you know, me. And, you know, I'm not going to get onto the race card and all that. But, anyhow, they have a non-domicile CDL, and they're undocumented, so they're not even a citizen. Came in illegal. Every channel, the one channel, Ike at Bonehead Truckers, has been doing phenomenal research onto this, and then Alex has just picked up the slack here on his last video with it. So we need to understand that across the nation, it doesn't matter if you come from the West Coast, East Coast, or the Midwest. These people, and I want to say these people, these state governments, they need to get on board. And why I'm saying this is the fact that what if it was your husband and kids, or your wife and kids, or your mom and dad, grandparents, you know, that are siblings, that, you know, the way you seen that van, they probably got decapitated and hitting that trailer when he did a U-turn on the interstate. So these states have to be uniformed in their laws, and uniformed in the laws in that you can't just give a CDL for one of these 80,000 pound missiles to go down the road to just any suburban turban that's, you know, coming across the border, especially an illegal. And they all have said that. Even the mainstream media said he is undocumented and he came across illegally. He was apprehended once, sent back, and fined $5,000. Still got back in here. So he needs to be shoved through the judicial system. He needs to be prosecuted for the most part. So 3 people instantly dead when he U-turned, and they went right through that trailer because he was sideways in the interstate. And he showed no remorse, nothing. And that's just the nature of those people. If you see the video, you know, you know. And I know my daughter's had to work with many folks of those cultures, and they're just arrogant pricks. And like I said, for me, I just tend to walk the other way. I don't give them no acknowledgement. I've seen, like I said, you know, what, a month, 6 weeks ago, when I had that gentleman at the Love's truck stop, half flat tire, bald, on a reefer trailer, and all he could tell me was, company has no money. And he couldn't hardly understand anything I was saying, let alone he couldn't hardly speak any English. No AC in the truck, and it was during the hot heat index with the humidity here in the Midwest. So, you know, that it creates fatigue for the driver. And with that, these guys are running unsafe. I don't know what to say. If you're going to sit and back these illegal immigrants, if you're going to harbor them, and I want to say, you know, keep them, you know, from being deported and all that, this is the kind of crap you're going to face in repercussions in the future. And it's going to come home, the karma's going to come home and bite people that support them in the ass. And when it does, I'm going to be sitting on the porch. By the time that comes around, I'm going to be sitting on the porch laughing, giggling, and saying, you brought it on yourselves, but I know where I'm going to be in 5 years, 10 years. And so it's totally ridiculous that, that last administration let these folks in. And it was a planned design. So was COVID. COVID was all planned. This isn't some, oh my gosh, leaked. Yeah, whatever. I don't know. See, that's why I don't get into politics, because, heck, if I like to be lied to, I would have stayed married, to the kids' mothers. But, hey, if you want to hang out and listen to what a narcissist and a cheat and a liar is, just follow a politician around. They're good for that. That's all they're good for. So I just keep out of the ballpark. I just keep politics right out. I just keep in my bubble of my economy and allow myself to survive in the system that this country has grown to hate. The debt system, the Keynesian, monetary system. It's crap. And but yeah, everyone keeps playing the game. But it's like playing Russian roulette. Sooner or later, you're going to get shot and burned. And so we're doing great. Side business is doing good. I've been getting my rest. Didn't really go grocery shopping for the truck this week because I had so much leftovers from the other property. And we're taking down a big brisket and doing that Labor Day weekend. And then we're gonna have a good time taking the kayaks down. We're gonna be hitting the lake. Hopefully the lake has been receding down. We went down and looked at it. It's receded back about 3 feet already. So it's the problem is not only the heat, but there's so many farm fields around there draining from the irrigation. They're draining the groundwater down, which that water in the lake is then getting absorbed from the groundwater. So we'll see. Anyhow, yeah, that still just ticks me off, and that's Terrell, Texas is the town. I was saying it wrong. I was saying Tyler last time. It was Terrell, and that's where the Cuban killed those 3 people, and he's here on a tourist visa, driving truck. So who issued him a CDL on a tourist visa? Not even a citizen. So these last 2 accidents that I've talked about have not been U.S. citizens driving commercial vehicles in this country. This has got to stop. This needs to start at the state levels, and these Democratic states, they need to knock this shit off. It's making it very unsafe to the point that I don't know. I'm waiting, as they did in the old days, but I'm waiting for, I don't want to say a country civil war, but it's gonna be a truck stop civil war. And all I can say to these guys that are coming over undocumented, it's going to be a blankie party for these guys here coming pretty soon. I've already railed one guy. I'm not putting up with this crap where they're just coming in and throwing their feet up on the bathroom vanity and washing their feet in the sink where you got to wash your hands and all that. And I kicked one out of the bathroom, and I said, I'm not, if that's what you do, go back to your country. If you want to assimilate and do what we do here, but if you want to continue being barbaric and dirty and filthy and all that, go back to the country you came from. Fix its problems. Don't come here and create more for us. And that's all they've been doing. So, see, you got the live chat going on. Who do we got in there? 18-wheeler. Big way. My bad. Typo. It's absolutely... Oh, I don't have my glasses on. Disseminate the trucking industry for everyone involved, physically and financially. I know. And 18-wheeler, that's what what I started saying is it's these and these idiots, they're pig piling 4 or 5 guys in a truck, and they're just running that truck around the clock. and illegally, and they're just pulling whatever freight, you know. But they have seen, I think it was either Miranda at Trucking Makes Successful. I follow her, and I follow Rowan at ET Transport. Sorry. And they were saying there's people that they have been told by shippers that these guys are coming in taking $1.99 a mile loads, and it's, you know, and you know who they are. You see them, they're in the Volvo, they're in the torpedo turds like this, and they're duct taped up, they're zip tied, they're bandaged up, the hoods and everything are flopping down the road, you know, the tires are bald, and half of the lights work, you know, flickering or whatever, and it's disgusting. If you ever seen the doors open up on one of those trucks, I mean, I can look over, I can see inside a dude's truck when he's parked next to me, and you can get a good idea of who your neighbor is at the truck stop for the night when they got the door open and you look inside, and then you pretty much know. And like I said, I don't mind rolling my window down when I got a guy that's got a nice hooded truck or very clean looking truck, even though it might be one of these turds, to say, hey, you know, nice truck, just to say, you know what, you're keeping your truck up, you're keeping it clean, you keep the inside clean. I'm just like, hey, nice truck, you know, and a guy likes to hear that now and then, because at least his efforts don't go unnoticed. So, and got to stop the cross-border cabbage also. Cabotage. That's the big problem. You know, and I'm glad Trump got in because of that. And that was the wife and I's number one thing, is shut the damn border down. That was our main concern, is get that border shut down. I don't know what it is. Why these Democrats, why they can't, the people that supported them, and they're like, they just left the door open the whole 4 years, and they're just like, oh, no problem, I don't see anything wrong here. You know, now this stuff's going to come back and bite these communities. These sanctuary cities are already getting bit by the people that are in there. And who do we got? Laura, you're in there? I forgot to say, folks, I didn't expect Miss Laura to be in as a moderator tonight. She left our property to come back to the main house. She's got to get the dogs to a vet appointment, and she wanted to leave a day early so she didn't have to drive in thunderstorms tomorrow. So I didn't expect her to be in here and saying anything, unless she pulled over or you made it home in time, which probably would have been a good chance you could be home. Let me know in the chat, Laura, if you're home or if you're on the side of the road chit-chatting with us. But yeah, they left the door open, and that made us nervous. I'll tell you what, with the border being wide open those 4 years, we went out, bought a safe, bought a shit ton of pew-pews and brass and lead, and we took classes. We invested because of that crap. And because all those 4 years, I did not feel safe any which way, whether going to the grocery store or gas station, because you don't know who's going to flip out on you. You didn't know who was who. And like I said, my wife, I was afraid. I did not allow her to go grocery shopping by herself. She had to wait till I got home. I said, what is it for you to come out with a grocery cart full of groceries and someone bum rush you and take the cart from you? You know, knock you over, knock you down, hurt you. And I said, that's the next thing that's going to happen in this country, is people are going to get robbed from their grocery carts coming out of the grocery stores. They're going to get bum rushed. Mark my words. So things to consider and understand. What do we got going on here? Hold on. Just walked in and feeding the dogs. Okay, so you're home. All right, good. Is the practice of allowing, and I'm sorry, 18-wheeler. I wear bifocals to read, especially the chat. Foreign carriers to create within a country's domestic transportation network. Right. It's the ones down in Florida, the one that did the U-turn just now. They are running a ghost MC numbers. I want to say the carrier's White Hawk, and the MC numbers are under White Star, White Line, White Star Line carrier. So there's two different carriers, yes, and they're doing that shit. And just like Terrell, Texas, where the Cuban ran in, into those people and killed them. Hope Transport, you look at a lot of those Chicagolands, when they get in accidents like that, it is notorious that they will dissolve that LLC and start another one. And I want to say Ike looked into it, and the people that have that LLC also have one down in Florida, and he looks up the address on these MCs, and they are absolutely in these little apartment buildings. So no main office, no yard, no truck yard, no nothing. And it's just garbage. And I've told people long before this started getting exposed, I said, never hire in with a company out of Chicago. Ever, ever, ever. I said, I don't care if you're that damn broke. I said, go start an OnlyFans page if you're that damn broke. But I would never I would start an OnlyFans page on my old ass before I drove for anyone that was established in Chicago. There you go. That's how it should be. So, what do we got here? I appreciate 18-wheeler, appreciate that explanation. It jarred my memory then. I remember seeing that word being used a lot with the guys. Camelon carriers, once they get a bad safer score and high insurance rates, they just get a new MC or purchase a good MC. Especially now, they're starting to buy them from off Facebook Marketplace. They're going in there and getting, or they're calling up trying to buy people's MC numbers from them. So yes, that is true. I think Ike or Alex was saying that today in some of their videos, that they're going on the marketplace and buying carrier numbers, DOT MC numbers. And they're doing that, and they're just, Sean Duffy needs to see what this shit's doing, and they need to put a backstop to this. They need to get a team on this and say, look, this is how these guys are moving in the shadows to keep things doing illegally. So don't go over here and look, oh, we done this. In the mainstream, the ignorant eyes that do not know logistics, they may think that's a great thing since orange juice. But you and I and all of us that are in the logistics industry know we need to get down into the microscopic level and backstop all this and just put an end to it. And make these guys get vetted. And kind of like a gun thing where you're going to do an MC number or something, you're going to be on a 30-day waiting list so we can vet your ass. And so I don't know, there's a lot of suggestions, but I can see where all of this and most of these guys that are pulling the strings behind the scenes, a lot of them don't even reside here. They're over in other countries setting all this crap up, and then they got a couple guys over here kind of, to physically be here to get these guys in the trucks that they hire. But the one guy at Hope Transport, he said another driver came forward, and he said, was it Hope or another company that Ike put the video of him, he was recording and sending it to Ike, and he said, look, they're changing. I'm running out of hours on my e-logs, and they'll go in while he's driving and reset them. And if he tries going to the yard and he says, look, I'm tired and I want to go home, and they said, you better keep driving, or they've been threatening him with, they will call the police and say, you're driving a stolen vehicle, you weren't authorized to take it. So he's locked into that. So how do you get out of that? The only thing I could think of was pulling a DOT way station and say, look, I've been driving for these guys, they're threatening me. And he's been screenshotting the Telegram, what is that, Telegram app, is how they communicate. And that stuff goes away after the communication's done. It's not saved, so you got to screenshot it as you go. And I would show them that stuff and say, look, I'm parking the truck here. You call them, you tell them to come get their truck, I'm out. And so I don't know. These guys are playing dirty. So I'd sure like to see these guys, you know, get out from behind their keyboards, but I think they're just going to be a bunch of big pussies. You know, they're going to manipulate this system. They're finding all the loopholes in it, and they're manipulating all the faults and loopholes in our system. Not only in logistics, but every aspect of it. But is the government here for you and I? You know, what we'd say is the plebs. You know, the regular blue collar, you know, grinding hard to make an honest living, or who are they really for? The corporations, obviously. You know, if you're not a big mega corporation, multi-billion millionaire corporation, the little guys, they don't care. They'd rather stomp us out like a bug crawling across the parking lot and just you know, take over more industry. So after every recession, they're eating up, the government's eating up more and more of the private sector in business, until one day they're going to fully control this whole country. You know what that's called? That's called communism. That's called Russia. It's called China. When they own everything and they tell you what you will and will not do as far as, you know, working and all that. And I'm glad I'm on the backside of 50s, and you know, I'm going to be 59 this year, but next year looking at 60, and I'm like, I'm glad I'm on the backside of all this hullabaloo and crap, because and the wife and I even agreed. I said, we were born in the wrong generation. I should have been born 1930, would have been nice, and come up at least through some decent generation, because now what we're finishing our lives up with is just, the economy is like just standing on top of a damn stinky landfill right now in the middle of summer. Is what the economy feels and smells and feels like. So check on the chats here. Yeah, I closed my authority in November of last year, and my phone was off the hook with offers to buy. Is that crazy? 18-wheeler. That is crazy. You know, and I hope you didn't sell it out. And yeah, that is nuts. And it's all these foreign actors coming in and doing all this. And like I said, I don't know where, you know, the last transportation, I was pissed at Buttigieg when, because I got family in the northeast corner of Ohio, and I delivered in Bridgeport, Ohio. I got a customer there. If you know where Bridgeport, Ohio is, to East Palestine, you pretty much could smell it. Like you were there in East Palestine when that train derailment went on. You know, oh, I got things going on. It's being handled. Like, it's no big deal. And I told the wife, I said, but if that fucking train had derailed in Washington, D.C., oh, this is a big deal. Oh my gosh. You know, like I said, when it happens to them, then we have to take affirmative action. But because it was out in the rural areas, and they were trying to push those people up into Cleveland, because they're trying to turn Cleveland into one of the first smart cities. And I won't have anything to do with that. I don't play too well with people in confined places like that. So I would be a shitty neighbor. So, but yeah, hey, thanks for pointing that out, 18-wheeler. Yeah, you gotta watch that stuff, because they are buying up those MCs, and they are doing the ghosting of that on the authority, and it's nuts. And they're just gonna keep going and going and going. And like I said, when these guys get out of the truck stop, if they're doing stuff that's like the unwritten rules or unethical stuff, I call them out. I will call them out. I'm like, dude, You want to throw down? Let's throw down. I don't care for these people right now. So if you're going to come over and act just like you did in your own country, and you're going to come here, when you get on a cruise and you go to other countries, islands, or whatever, you go there and of course you go with mannerism and you go with respect because you're in someone else's country. These people come over here and shit on us, talk, and treat everything like crap. And it's like, the only way we're gonna jar this stuff is ground level, us, we the people, the blue collar, the people that are out here grinding and grunting every day. We're gonna have to be stronger. We're just, weak times or strong times create weak men. Weak men create or hard times. And right now we're having hard times, and we have a lot of weak men out there. So it's going to have to be us old grumpy guys out here kind of kicking everything in the ass. And if we all teamed up and started knocking some heads, people are like, well, you can't be violent. You can't do this. Look, take your woke ideology and your liberal mindset or whatever it is, your California soft, Planet Fitness bullshit, and go shove that somewhere in the side of a mountain, because we don't have time for it. People need to be secure and safe out here, whether at home, in their homes, out buying groceries, getting gas. We do not need to feel threatened in any way, shape, or form from these idiots that have come in over the border. So I have no respect unless they're going to give respect being here. I give them no respect back. That's the way it's going to be. So if you think I'm going to their Quran or their flags or anything like that, that's how it's going to be with it. I am not going to respect it. You want that? Hang it up in your house. Fine, whatever. But you know what? If you're going to sit and be in our land, our country, and burn our flag, I should be able to burn yours in. So it's the way I feel. And, it offends people and it triggers people when I talk like that. But I don't care. You need to start hearing this. Triggered people need to hear this and understand that the world don't give a shit about them and their soft feelings. They're here to decimate our country and take it over. So unless they're going to stand up, otherwise they're just, the way someone had put it the other day is, if our shores got ransacked by China invading us, fucking Democratic Party will just go and team up on their side because they're too much of a pussy to pick up a gun and fight. So just repeating what someone else told me is all. Nothing that came to my mind. I just kind of looked at it and said, that's a thought I never came up with. So yeah, so that's my rants today. It seems like every week almost every week or every other week, there is another damn horror story of these immigrants out here driving these trucks, killing people. And there's no repercussions and no remorse. So when do we take it in our own hands? And that's why I say, at the truck stops, at the shippers and receivers. And these shippers and receivers need to start, saying, I saw a short reel on one, I want to say it was shipper or receiver. I couldn't remember. I don't think they explained which end of the system they were in. But they came in, flip-flops and shorts and all that. And they said, come in with safety vest, steel-toed boots, because they were in a food processing. You can't have open-toe shoes or flip-flops. They kicked him out. And the guy goes, well, he's waving his papers. He goes, you go get the proper attire to come in my building or get off my property. And I don't blame him one bit. And that's the way it should be. And the shippers and receivers got to get on board with this too. Push back on these guys coming in. I've seen it firsthand when I ran reefer back in 18 and 19. Gordon Foods down there in Shepherd, it's Kentucky. Was that Shepherdsville? Kentucky, south of Louisville, and I was there. And the lady, I said, "Hey, can I just go pull the pallets off, and I don't have to pay the lumpers?" And she came out and literally jumped on my boots and said, "You got steel toes?" I said, "Yeah, you want to see?" It says right on the side, Timberland Pros steel toe. And she let me in because I had all the proper attire in the middle of the summer. Went out there and unloaded. Guys behind me were tank tops, gym shorts, and flip flops like they just came off the beach. And well, why can't I do that? And she goes, "Cold day in hell, you're getting back there, not the way you're dressed." And she goes, "You guys need to get out of here and go sit in your trucks." And that's the difference of if I can get the leverage to go out and unload my shit, and then have the guy come, they'll come and say, "Hey, we want to use 48 by 48 pallets." They'll set me down how many pallets, how many per tier they want stacked on that, because maybe the way they shelve their stuff. But I'd break it down, restack it, and repalletize it, and I could pick up at the end of the week, there'd be an extra $600, $800, $900 in my check just for lumping my own shit off the reefer instead of paying the lumper fees and waiting, 5-6 hours to get unloaded or whatever it is. So yeah, you gotta put the hat on and be professional out here. Your attire and all that for the industry you're in. Now these guys, you start seeing them. Well, hell, I've seen yards kicking guys out. They're getting out there, shorts, tank top, and open-toe shoes. In yards where they're, having to deal with steel and lumber and all that. Of course, chaining them down and all. They're like, "No, dude, you get the proper attire. You're not going to get hurt in my yard and then sue me, or be in litigation or have the advantage of being able to sue me because you got hurt in my yard because something dropped on your foot or you got hurt." So, hard hat, and you go, because you're climbing up and down on a flatbed when you're throwing tarps and straps and chains and binders and all that. And yeah, I've seen a lot of short reels on that, kicking the guys out, like, either get the proper tire on or get off my property. So, and that's the way these shippers and receivers should be responding and getting these guys checked. And I don't know. What do you guys think? So I see the live chat's been kind of busy. 18-wheeler, I really appreciate everything you just thrown in there. And people need to read a lot of that stuff to understand what is really going behind the scenes, more than just the main bigger picture of things. Like, oh, we got illegals in the truck. Yeah, we know this, but this is how they're getting in the truck, and this is how they're if the government says, well, we're going to shut this authority down, well, this is how they maneuver and ghost into another authority and keep the same truck, same drivers under a different name. Or you'll see drivers change the on the side of their trucks. They will tape over, like, their MC numbers. They'll have a second set of company name and MC numbers and all that. They'll throw over top of that when things like 18-wheeler said, when things get bad and they're on the when they're red flagged with the DOT, or they're just doing nefarious things. Other guys have seen it. I have not seen it. If I'd seen it, I'd call them out on it. So yeah, that's my rant. We have to be diligent as United States citizens to push back and start calling these people out. You can't. The government's not going to take care of us. They're not coming to our rescue. They're not going to help us. There's nothing. If we're going to take care of this, what the trucking industry used to take care of the bad apples in the 60s and 70s, and it did in my early days. If I was a problem child, there'd be 5 drivers out there in the yard, and they're going to give you an ultimatum. You're going to get your ass beat, or you're going to do things this way, how we do it here, or you're going to get your ass beat and you're down the road. Because you're going to get an ass beaten before you leave if you don't conform to what we're doing. And, if you're going to drive reckless and do things unethical, the only thing we can do is we need to take control of it, not everyone's like, let the system fix it. The system won't fix it for us. The system is only there to fix the billionaires, the elitists, the corporations, not us, we the people. That's what I'm trying to say. So, what do we got here in the chat? I get the uproar and the frustration of killing someone, but I haven't seen you other accidents caused by non-immigrants. Seen you talk about. And yes, there are other accidents. And I have said that one or two live streams ago when I come out on wintertime, the Turnpike, Indiana-Ohio Turnpike, and come across there, and you will see trucks flipped on their sides from, where do I get on? I-69 and Fremont, Indiana, all the way to the PA line. If there's been a bad snowstorm because of the lake effect of Lake Erie, you will see so many trucks flipped on their sides, crashed out, because these guys are overdriving for the conditions. And it's everybody. It can be the major mega carriers, it can be the small mom and pop. And these trucks are squirrely, but it could be the American citizen, it could be a guy like me, it could be any ethnic person. But the big thing is the illegals coming in, they're not being trained. They can't read the signs when they enter a construction zone, what lane to be in, what speed to be at. If they're entering a school zone, they don't understand it because they can't speak English. They can't understand the signage here. That's the problem between them having an accident and us having an accident. Now, and then the system wants to brush that under the rug because we don't want to disrupt all the illegals that have come in. But if I get in an accident, I'm getting hung in court. So that's the difference, because I should know better because I'm a citizen. I understand the signage. I can read it. I understand it. I know the policies, laws, and I can speak English. So, these people are driving undocumented. They're not a citizen. So a non-citizen, non-U.S. citizen cannot, and it is illegal to have a CDL in an American CDL to drive on American roads in a commercial truck. But yet, the system, at a state level, is letting this happen and slide by, and that's why when they get in these accidents, the system wants to hurry up and brush it under the rug. But because of social media and the fact that one down in Florida, someone had released the dash cam to that one would not have gotten traction if that dash cam had not gotten released. So that's the difference. And yes, when someone like me gets in an accident, there's going to be repercussions because, again, I should know better because I understand everything here. So if I'm going to get on and act like a bullwinkle, like these illegal immigrants, and I don't understand nothing, deport me back to my country now, sorry to kill, half a dozen people while I did this. Well, sorry. I should have the recourse is I should be, jailed and tried through the system. The system will just deport them back to their country. Why? So they can just funnel back through again. So that's why I don't talk about a lot of the accidents on the American side, because it gets handled. Yeah, there's a lot of accidents. You want to know why there's so much more accidents now than there were in the 90s and 80s? Because there's lack of training. There's lack of common sense. There is a lack of parental that have babied these Gen Zs and these millennials to the point of they're there now. If you made a mistake, these kids are soft, and they just don't have the motor skills to react handling this big equipment. And what's our system want to do now? They want to bring the age down to 18, at least 18 years old, to put these kids, 18-year-old kids, in the trucks on an intrastate to be within the state, to be able to drive in the interstates and all that. Good luck with that. So now you got an 18-year-old, has no experience, development hasn't hit peak yet, and you're going to throw them in one of these and shoot them down the road. Again, I'm going to be sitting on the porch watching the shit show unravel, and I'm just going to watch stray bullets going down the road, ping everyone off, and you watch the accidents go up by 2030. You're going to watch them at least triple. And if this shit doesn't get handled. So the system, again, is not here for you and I. The system is only for the people up here. And why do you think athletes and celebrities and politicians and all that, they get off? Well, boy, they got off easy. Well, yeah, because they got money, because they're in that club. They're not down here with us plebs. So that's why. But what do we got here in the chat? Having your family killed by a non-English speaking illegal immigrant with an illegal CDL is a whole different animal, completely different. Salt on the wounds for sure. Yes. And I hope I explained that, because like I said, 18-wheeler, you and I would be we'd be railed in the system for prosecution. But you seen all this, they're trying to hush this stuff so under the rug with each and every one of these illegal accidents that are fatal accidents. But yeah, there's accidents all the time. I mean, I-80 in the wintertime, Nebraska, Wyoming, all the way out there, it's a shit show. And trucks all the time in accidents, flipping over. These trucks are lighter. They're trying to make them so much lighter to get more payload on the trailer. And they just don't handle like they used to. That damn heavy haul truck of mine is just a tank. A day cab Mac, that red day cab Mac with a 4 1/4 cat, 44 rear ends. I mean, it was all heavy duty spec. And that truck on the scale by itself, a day cab truck, under it was probably 200, maybe 180 to 200 wheelbase, and it weighed what, 22,000 pounds. It was a heavy son of a bitch. With the trailer, with an 8-axle trailer, I mean, I was like in the 40s, 45, 50, before I even put a load on there. So, but yeah, I'm going to be upset because our system has failed us. And so I, as a U.S. citizen, have to go through the system to obtain a CDL and do all the right stuff. But if I'm an undocumented illegal immigrant, all of a sudden we're just handing it out here like monopoly money, just handing out, everything they need to go out and drive, for free or under the table. Don't worry about it, type thing. So it's not fair to any of us. And whether it's an uproar or not, it's not fair to the U.S. citizens that have worked and grind to play by the rules and be safe in a society and be an upstanding citizen in this society that we live amongst each other in. So, what do we got going on here? It's common sense, not training. You can't. Glasses. Real long one. Can't train someone to apply common sense. Yeah, no, you can't. That's just something that's taught with upbringing in your home with your family. I had a FedEx driver pass it on the shoulder while traffic was backed up. And I went through that, and I'm going to tell you, sorry, I am so sorry. Plate, I can't pronounce your first name, and I apologize for that. But I see Plate in there. So Plate, I'm going to say this, and I got into it with a FedEx driver. I came out of the Roanoke scales on I-81 in June, end of June, and he was staying in the fast lane, and there was a wide load, and he wouldn't let me get over because the wide load, we came off the scale, and as we were, motoring up, he got the bypass. I don't know why FedEx just gets bypassed by the way station. He was going by and he stayed in that left lane. He wouldn't let anybody over, but he stayed out there holding us all up while we're, the wide load was just taking his time trying to get up the hill and all that jazz. Unbeknown to me, I had my blinker on. Another guy had a blinker on. The fucker had a CB in his truck, which those guys never do. So we got into it. And, he ended up just powering up, motoring on because he was going to lose that fight with me and the other guy that were stuck behind the wide load. And, and the thing of it is there's that construction when you go from Roanoke, the 581 in Roanoke to Christiansburg at the 460, there's that construction zone in there. And it was last summer, not this summer, summer of 24, it was every week FedEx double trailers were always flipping over into that construction zone. Somehow they were getting tangled up on the barriers or they were running off the shoulder into the woods. And how many times there was a rotator out there plucking their trailers out of the damn, shit. But I think my wife, Laura's in the chat, had I not today already complained about a FedEx driver when you and I were talking. I had my headset on. Here's, that's my headset right there. I got the Parrot Blue 450. I do have a backup, my 350. Don't get the 250. It's too chimsy. 450 is a little more robust. Battery lasts for like a whole week without charging it. But yeah, with my headset on, and I told her fucking FedEx, and it's my Tourette's coming out when I'm driving. Someone does something stupid, my Tourette's is gonna blur it out, and it was FedEx today. So yeah, and I'm not surprised, Plate, that you're saying that about FedEx because I've seen some of the most unethical driving from those guys. The way they push. Who else? And contractors who pull trailers for FedEx, for UPS, for Walmart, because Walmart's usually pretty decent drivers. They're paid well that they don't need to drive to be late anywhere because they're driving for themselves to their own stores. So, but when you get a third-party contractor pulling a Walmart trailer, yeah, I've usually got something to say, and but yeah, I definitely, it doesn't surprise me when you see some of the most unethical and dumb shit, especially in backups or construction zones when people want to start riding the shoulder, and it gets sketchy because I've seen it happen back in the 90s in Flint, Michigan on the 475. We were in the left lane, the right lane was closed, and this car was coming along, and this guy saw him in the mirror, pulled out in front of him, and they T-boned right there. It was blocking me then, so I couldn't move forward. They were getting into it out there. But it's just, dude, here's my thing, Plate, with what you said there about FedEx, and I'll say this. If your company, if you have got to drive so much past the speed limit, if you got to push that truck beyond the safe limits in adverse weather, rainstorms, snow, ice, if you've got to drive recklessly through a construction zone, through heavy traffic, and because of the company you work for, you need to quit. And I try to tell every driver that if they're making you drive like that, if they're pressuring you like that, and if you push back and they won't, if they're going to give you repercussions, walk out, quit, walk away. You should not have to drive recklessly, gross negligence, a truck for a company to make the deadline for that load delivery. So if that's the case, quit. Go find a company that will embrace your professionalism and keeping your truck safe and unscathed from being, banged up, scratched up, and wrecked. And it'll go a long ways. Being that way, being a smooth operator as a professional, than being some reckless Joe in a figure eight demolition derby race. No. That company, and those are the companies you need to walk away from. When they pressure you or they try to cheat the system to get you an extra mile up the road, whether it's speeding or cheating the logs or what have you. So hopefully that's my rant there. But yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. So it's not immigrants, it's illegal immigrants. Yes, illegal immigrants, Laura. Yeah, immigrants is one thing, and let me clarify that. I wanted to say, and if I maybe skipped it now and then, but illegal immigrants, people that have come across the border illegal and are undocumented, are not a U.S. citizen, and they're obtaining things they shouldn't be having in this country, like a CDL to drive a commercial vehicle. That's an illegal. That's that gentleman that did the U-turn on an interstate down in Miami and killed 3 people instantly. And that was an undocumented illegal immigrant. And that's a good example of one. And that's what we do not need to have running our machinery in this country. So, yeah. Anywho. Yes, FedEx sucks. Yeah, I got a friend at our camp spot that he's a manager at FedEx. He makes a good living with them, but I would not drive for FedEx. I see how those guys drive. They drive hard and they drive fast. And I'm like, if that's what I got to do to get my day finished, I'm like, no, I'm not going to be under the gun to be pressured to push the truck that hard. Especially when the weather gets adverse. I get pissy about that. I'm like, I'm going to slow down, take my time, keep this. I'd rather bring this truck back the way I got it, like new, than to bring it back and say, sorry, I mangled up the front end, or flipped it in the shoulder. Amazon trailers are out of hand too. Oh, those Amazon trailers, those are the contractors, those are the ones that, Chattanooga, the fatality there that was the Haitian illegal that killed people pulling an Amazon trailer. I want to say it was an Amazon trailer in Austin, and it was an Amazon trailer in Terrell, Texas, with the Cuban that was here on a tourist visa driving a semi-truck, somehow getting a CDL with a tourist visa, non-citizen. So that's what this whole premise of this live stream is like, all right, we can't wait for the government over here on the East Coast to do anything. My belief is we as citizens just need to stand up and push back on this. And I'm not saying go out and take to the streets and stand in the middle of the interstate. I'm saying, obviously if you're late to your congressman, the email will get deleted or kicked off to the side. They're not going to take you serious. You got to confront these drivers, and you've got to personally voice your opinion right to your politician. And that's where I'd like to, like a town hall meeting, is go right to the source and just rail them and tell them, dude, if you're not going to fucking do something about it, we'll take matter in our own hands. So town hall meetings, these politicians need to hold those more often, because these jokers, coming and going from their home state to DC and back, and their nice luxury flying on the jets and all that shit that we get to pay for while we're out here grinding away. Like I said, the system's just not going to fix it for you and I. So we have to stand up for ourselves. We need to be thicker skinned, hardcore, and just a little more ornery. And common sense common sense, it's got to start with parents need to let kids also experience life and let them fall and get some bumps and bruises. You can't sit there and safety net every little stinking thing they do in life. They are going to fall in marriage. They're going to fall financially. They may go bankrupt. They may lose their job. But they got to figure out, they have to come up with solutions when life throws them, I want to say lemons. When life turns on them, they got to be able to know how to pick themselves up and move on, because one day, as a parent, you're not going to be here anymore to safety net your children. And they're going to need those life skills to be able to handle when life kicks them down, and they need to know how to have a solution to get back up and move forward. And if you pad their life so much that they are going to be a lost soul when you pass away, because they've been so codependent on you. And that's where their common sense is going to get ingrained in them, because they're going to trial and error. They're going to make mistakes. That's how entrepreneurs starting businesses. You're going to fail, then your one business is going to take off. But you're always going to have a few businesses that are going to fail, and you're going to learn from that. And that's what they need to do. They need to learn from falling down and making mistakes and failing to then, pick themselves up, and that's common sense is just going to ingrain in them. So life experiences grows their common sense. So hopefully that helps with my explanation anyways. What else we got going on in here? I am an immigrant, a citizen, and I do heavy haul. Awesome, man. Awesome, Plate. So heavy haul. Wow, that chat's really taking off. Let's see. Get my glasses again, because man, old man, bad eyes. Let's see. I am an immigrant, a citizen, and I do heavy haul. Do I wear flip-flops? Yes, but not on the job site. There you go. And a lot of guys have said that. Hey, I'll throw flip-flops on while I'm driving. But when you're on the customer's property, absolutely. You should be out there being professional, but also knowing you become a liability if you don't have the proper PPE on when you're maneuvering around that rig. Getting everything rigged onto your RGN or whatever it is you're heavy hauling, or flatbed, and you need to be respectful for the shipper and receiver, but they're going to want you back if you're coming off professional, your equipment's organized and clean, and you're carrying yourself professional. That customer is going to want you back to haul their product again. But if you come in looking like a total slob and looking like a liability waiting to happen to be in court for them, then they're going to call up the carrier and say, or the broker, and they're going to say, don't send that company back. That's been said many a times. Yes, I wear my PPE regardless weather. Great. Raycon says it or not, and that's just it, because you're going over and above. When you go over and above, that gets recognized, and it gets recognized here at this company I'm at, because I handle the product I lift. I'm lifting anything 250 pound stuff. I gotta have all my PPE on, gloves, jeans, boots, the whole 9 yards, because I gotta take everything preventable to create injury to myself. Not so much the finished product, because I'm handling finished product. But yeah, hey, that's good. You're going over and above is what you're saying there, regardless of what the Raycon says on there, and that's cool. That's cool. Get my eyes to adjust here. I apply real world common sense in whatever I do. I hope my fellow drivers, we can get along and get rid of the bad apples. And Plate, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. The communication with these things, that used to be where we could have conversations out there while we're cruising down the road, get to know each other, talking on the CB. And, I can't tell you how many times I talked to good old boys down from Alabama and Louisiana back in the 1990s. And the guy goes, hey, I'm just out here. I got in 10 years. I'm working my ass off to pay I remember this one conversation. The guy said, I'm working my ass off to pay the house off. My wife's a nurse. once the house is paid off, he goes, I am going to quit driving and I'm going to go home and just take a job working on the docks. And that way I can be home every night. So he had a plan. And that's the one thing about trucking. Trucking really shouldn't be a whole lifetime for many people. It should be a way to elevate yourself financially and then either take your skills from driving and take a local job, whether it's driving, local deliveries, dump truck, equipment operating, dozers, loaders, or working the docks, working a, shipping and receiving dock. You got that opportunity once you get that experience if you want to have your home life back. So that's the one, aspect of looking at things going forward into the future, is that you're not out here, is that one guy that's been out here for 60, 70 years, he's 85 years old and still hanging on the steering wheel because he doesn't know how to do anything else. Point that truck down the road and that's it. And that's all he's ever grown to know. Kudos to him, but that's not what I want to do. And I'm sure many of you guys in the chat there don't want to do that, when you're 70, 80 years old. So I'm sure at some point as you get older, you're going to want to transition into something where you can be home every day at your table eating, in your bed at night, showering at your house, and, do your 8-10 hours a day at your local job and be able to come home and have a little bit more home life and, and reset your mental state compared to being out here sleeping in this truck in a different parking lot every night, for days on end away from home. That's the thing, is you just got to have that, you got to have a plan. You got to have a plan to an exit strategy to get out of trucking at some point in your career. But you shouldn't leverage yourself to be buying a whole bunch of stuff so it keeps you out here. But at least get yourself a mortgage, a decent mortgage, and get yourself a house and just the necessities, and then hopefully move on to a local job, at least after a decade or more that you've been out here. So what else we got here? Hi, let's see, CJ. Hi, UK has the same problem, and it's only getting, probably I'd say getting worse. UK government forcing them into electric trucks or cheap labor. Government never listens to us in hauling, and that's what's going on here. It's getting the voices, our voices out here as drivers, is falling on deaf ears. And it took that dash cam, when that came out on that Miami illegal U-turn accident, everybody, now Fox News has gotten a hold of it and it's getting reported. That grabbed so much traction that it said, hey, hello, this stuff is getting bad out here and this needs to be addressed. And now everyone is saying, share this out and tag Sean Duffy to this. Tag Sean Duffy to everything that has got anything to do with these illegals driving these semi-trucks, these commercial vehicles. And to start pushing that rhetoric to kind of get the buzz going in DC. That's one way we can do it as a team out here, in community. And that's just it. I'm a veteran driver. I've been at this full time since '88. And I can tell you that it is different. It is different because of the electronics and the tracking and all that. And I've said that many a times in these videos. Back then, everything was just, you called in using a payphone. You had to stop, pull in a truck stop, or at the shipper and receiver, use their payphone, call in the office, check in, let them know, hey, I'm here, I'm alive, and I'm kicking. But they didn't have a way to track the trucks. There's no tracking devices on the trucks. They gave you a $80,000, $100,000 truck, said, here you go, do the route, be safe. And that's what we did. Common sense, because you use common sense. I've got someone's truck, a company, and I'm driving their truck down the road, and I'm getting the loads delivered as they asked to be on time, because now everything is being, my truck is tracked. My ELD, they can check that, they can check the truck, and of course I don't have it, but many companies have outward and inward facing cameras. So now they're watching you all day. As like that accident with those two gentlemen that uh, made an illegal U-turn. So it's all that stuff now. And, you know, I don't know. I don't know if that's helping, but I know that that inward facing camera is probably going to get traction for the government to implement mandated policies to put inward facing cameras in the trucks going forward because of that. You see how this all plays out? So more Big Brother babysitting us. So, and you know, again, takes out the common sense because you got other people babysitting you all day, tracking you all day. So it doesn't make you feel comfortable driving, does it? When someone's got their eyes on you all the time. It's like someone over your shoulder just staring at, you know, staring down your neck all the time. So I don't know. That's just how I feel. I see the live stream's almost an hour and a half, folks. I appreciate everybody that has been in the chat, giving their opinions, and that's what we need. We need to have these conversations, and I need to see both sides of the story. I'm the kind of person, I don't want to hear the one side. I want to hear both sides, and you know, people's opinions and all that. But at this point, our discussion was safety for everybody out here. Whether you're an immigrant that obtained your citizenship or me, born and raised here, I want to be safe on the roadways. And if you're going to come here, become a citizen, obtain everything through the due process, and then, you know, get your license, get the proper training, be taught properly in what you need to be doing out here so you don't become a haphazard in creating a fatality and taking someone's family away from them. So that's how I can just sum it up for you guys. I appreciate y'all being here. And let me check the chat one more time before we sign off. And, oh, I got my glasses on. CJ, words going around UK, haulage to stop hauling into cities like London until they listen. But UK government told us we'd lose our operation license. We can't win or get a better life. What do we do? You know, and they brought that up about New York too, pulling back on running loads into New York City, not the state, but New York City, because of what was it they were doing? Tolls, wasn't it, guys? Was it the U.S. guys here? I think they were gonna ding you for congestion. What is it? They called it something else, congestion tax or congestion toll or something like that. So I don't know. All I know is my maps stop halfway. They stop no farther than Philadelphia. That's as far east as I go anymore. Here, Virginia, like Hagerstown, you know, that's as far over as I come right now. And I-81, and that's good enough for me. I don't need to be up and down the New England states. I've been in there with reefer, and no. And they all wondered why us drivers. I had a guy ask me in Milford, Connecticut, why do you drivers hate coming here? And I said, because you guys built these cities back when the Pilgrims came. And I said, they're not built for these semi-trucks. I said, try threading one of these around these damn cities. I said, you guys are not truck friendly. So anyhow, folks, plate, let me finish up with you, sir. I will quit the day they mandate the cameras facing the driver. Stay safe out there. Yes, sir. I agree with you. And plate, I said it to the CEO here. I said, the day you put an inward facing camera, I'm cleaning out my truck, going home. I'm done driving. Because if they mandate it, I'm done. I will find another way to put food on the table, but it will not be someone watching me all day with a camera. So right on, sir. Appreciate it. Plate, you've been great input. Thank you. And hey, awesome that you are here and you did it through the due process and you're out there heavy hauling. What do you heavy haul in particular? Equipment, Like, do you do building stuff, steel? Um, Not sure, but yeah, appreciate you being here and have a great day out there. CJ, thank you. And my friend, yeah, I don't know. I think you folks probably are going to have to team up and find a solution to be able to push back like that. But yeah, losing your operator license, I don't know. You know, they threaten you like that. But I think at some point you may have to put yourself out on a limb if it means losing your license. If it's going to get you heard because you said they're not listening to you. So if you need to be heard, you may have to sacrifice some to get traction, to get more, especially being heard from the government. So right on. Jet bridges, military tanks, boilers, gensets, and so forth. Right on. Hey, I did a live stream. I caught a few guys over there, Glad Spring, Virginia. They're the Petro, just outside of Bristol, there on 81. And I've been seeing every time I'm in there. I've already seen a few times this year guys hauling military tanks. So it looks cool, man. It looks cool. They said they were picking the tanks up out of Northern Virginia somewhere. And yeah, take care. And Monday nights, we're going to be right around 6 o'clock for a live stream. So we're going to get signed off. I want to get some dinner. My wife's probably got me in the background while she's taking care of business at home. So say hi to Miss Laura next time. Stay safe out there, folks. Remember, knowledge is learned, not taught. And we will see you all in the next video.